Hey everybody, it's Angelo with Angelo's Workbench. Welcome back to the 8th and final video in the AMT Corvette ZR1 video series. Let's get to work! So I've got some good old Mod Podge here. I'm going to put this glass in. I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit. I want to do all of these steps after the car is together in one piece, in case any of these pieces are going to cause fit issues. I want to be able to deal with those after the fact. So for right now, we're going to get right to putting the glass in. And I know that they say to remove the shaded area. I choose not to. Because I like having that extra area for gluing purposes. You got all of this extra plastic, you know, to glue. Why take it all out? It sits just flat, just fine. So why go crazy? You know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Mod Podge here. And I'm just going to take I'll use a Q-tip. Q-tip is fine. You could use a paintbrush. And again, I just want to get some Mod Podge on there. There we go. And I'll get some on here as well. Down around the bottom. There we go. The nice thing about the Mod Podge is if you get it on anything, it comes off really easily. And it just wipes off with water. Even after it kind of dries a little, like it still just comes off with water, like real easy. Super easy cleanup. Super easy to deal with. Dries purely clear and invisible. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And they didn't give me that bottle. You know, there's no paid promotion there. It's just a product I use that I like. So one of the things that actually holds the glass in is the interior. And you see that down here in this step here, you kind of put the glass in and the interior in at the same step. So I'm going to snap this interior in right now so that it will hold the glass in place. There it goes. And now the interior is in place, as is the glass. And it is curing quite nicely. And that is that. I don't think we need to... Oh, we can still use the stand. Good, it's catching the bottom of the body. So I can still use the stand. Very good, very good. So the next thing that we have to solve as far as what we're going to do is the wheels and tires. So I'm going to get that moving. Coming up in just a second. Angelo's Workbench is proud to announce that this video series is sponsored by 9stepsindustries.com. They have sent me some nippers and some sanding sticks, an airbrush, a cleaning pot, some cutters, some tweezers, a whole bunch of tools. And they offer all these tools for sale at their website, 9stepsind.com. That's 9stepsind.com. You can go there and shop and use code ANGELO20 for 20% off your order today. I've been using this stuff through the filming of this video series, and I am thoroughly impressed. Go check them out at 9stepsind.com, code ANGELO20 for 20% off today. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I'm going to save the wheels and tires until last, because I want to be able to set their ride position exactly after the chassis is mounted to the body. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the chassis on. So this is kind of a moment of truth with these kits to see if it fits. And I have done some test fitting off camera, so I do know that this fits. But it's different doing it a test fit versus doing it the final time. And so here we are doing it for the final time. And wow, that was very uneventful. There it is. It's together, and wow. Okay, that was surprisingly easy for an old AMT kit. And I didn't have to do much in the way of modification and or fitting. It just went together. So there we go. And in fact, it's holding itself together without glue. So just for a little giggle and laugh here, let's just take a look and see how this rear wheel, oh, that's going to look so good. But I am going to need to space it out a little bit. And that's just going to be done with some kind of, I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to mount a pin to a pin. Maybe some styrene tube or just some styrene. I will figure out a way to get that on there and mounted, so that it looks fairly decent from the bottom. But the biggest thing is I don't want to be inset. I want to be set out here near the edge of the body. I don't want to be pushed in. I want to be out. And so that's a back one. And let's take a look at a front one and see how a front one is going to go. And they have to go in from the back, I believe. Yep, there we go. And then they fit just fine. So let's see, how's the front one gonna go? Well, the front ones are actually gonna mate up really nicely. They just need just a little tiny bit of space, spacing. Outwards, ever so slightly. But you can see they're just a little smidge in. So some little bit of sheet styrene, and I'll just glue those right to the edge of that. That'll be fantastic. And easy to do. So that's good. So now I'm gonna go think for a minute about how I'm going to engineer these wheels and tires to mount on this car, and they're gonna look great. I have to admit, for just like a 3D printed parts box find, like these are going to look super on this car. Fantastic wheels and tires for this. With the blue and the tan, like this is gonna be great. So so the next thing we need to do is, at this point, I think the wheels and tires are ready to go because the chassis is mounted. But let's go back and let's finish that under hood stuff and get the hood and the little piece that goes in the front here. Let's get that installed and functioning. And then we'll go from there. So in fact, let's just do that right now, because this hood just clips onto these pins. There we go. And that's that. The hood's installed. Whoops, and it comes off a little too easy because I don't have the other piece in yet. So there's the hood. The hood sits nice and flat too. That's a good thing with these C4 kits, because that's tricky. And then this just needs to be glued in place in the nose. And then that's going to be great. So let's go ahead and set a little bit of glue in there. And let's see here. I don't want to get glue all over the place on this. There we go. Get our tweezers here. Give us an assist. Okay. And that looks good. But now we can't touch that for a while. So we've got to let that cure. because every time you touch the hood, that's going to move. So I'm going to put this up on. That's another handy use for these sanding. I keep on finding uses for these sanding sticks from 9 Steps Industries. Here's another use. You know, you just suspend the chassis in the air so that that doesn't touch the ground, the workbench. And I could see these coming in handy for ride height adjustments, all kinds of stuff. What a great sanding stick. I've found like 10 uses for that sanding stick besides sanding. Okay, so we'll let that cure for a little bit, and then we will come back and move forward with the remainder of the under hood pieces and some wheels and tires. Figure that out. So we're getting down there. The only things left now are these few under hood pieces that need to be glued in. And I'm going to glue a couple of those in right now. The battery piece appears to go right there. I'm just going to put a little drop of glue right there. And I'm going to grab the battery. And I'm going to slide it in. And then I'm going to check the hood and make sure the hood still fits. And the hood still fits, so that's good. And then we have a master cylinder. And again, I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue to the back of this master cylinder. And then I'm going to get some tweezers. I like these angled ones for doing this. And I'm just going to pop this in here. And pray that it stays. And it is staying. And the hood still closes yet again. So, so far we're batting 1,000. So now for the moment of truth here, I have the, what they call the coolant recovery tank that I actually forgot to airbrush. So it airbrushed that white just a moment ago. And it has a silver cap, of course. And I don't know, maybe the cap was black in on the real cars. I don't recall. I believe it was silver because I think it was a pressurized system, a pressurized cap. So I'm doing it silver. And that just simply gets glued on top of this. Make sure I have this right. Yep, it gets glued on top of this. And according to this, in this orientation. And then that whole enchilada goes... You know, I could actually pull this hood, I believe. Nah, maybe not. Let's not reinvent the wheel here. All right. And so this entire deal goes here. And then this part overhangs onto that little piece right there. Get in there. All right, so what is happening is the way I have this on here, it's just a little bit too far forward. That's all. There we go. Now that should take a little bit better. And I can slide that back into place. And that looks good. And the hood still closes. The hood still closes. Hey! And all of the little pieces have been added, which they actually look really good. I'm quite pleased with how that fits and how that came out. So the only thing left now is this little tiny silver guy who goes on the front. That's the AC conditioner, the air conditioner accumulator, which mounts onto the front of that heater box, which is completely covered and obscured by the coolant recovery tank that I just installed. So since it is completely covered and obscured, and it is already in there, I'm going to skip it. We're going to put that aside and move on with life. Okay, so the other thing that I have to get in there still are these two little guys. Have to go underneath the hood over the tires. Then we mount the wheels and tires. I do the front turn signal lights, put them in, tail lights, and then this build is in the books. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can see how these go. Which is which, that is. On the hood. And these were always really cool when you raised the hood on these cars, when you were working on it or when you were hanging out, you know, with your friends and people wanted to see under the hood. You know, it was always really cool to see these wheel well things under the hood. They were super cool. And I believe that I have this oriented correctly right here. I believe this goes like this. I think I have that on the right side. The correct side, I should say. Let me see if the hood still closes with it. Yeah, the hood still closes with it, so that is a good sign. It just dropped out the bottom, so that is not such a good sign. So let's see again. The way the picture is drawn, it appears that the I'm just going to hold the car like this. It appears that the little black plastic riser goes toward the front of the car. Or, excuse me, toward the back of the car. So I may be putting the wrong one in the wrong place here. Let's try this one. Oh yeah, that one would fit substantially better and much more easily. So that's what we'll do. I had them backwards, which doesn't surprise me. Okay. All right, that looks marvelous. And the hood still fits. The hood is still fitting. Everything is still fitting. The car is looking good. Well, while we've got everything going here, why don't we take a shot at whoop? Aha! All right, we're not quite ready to move on yet. We need to get those in place solidly so that gravity does not take them off. So the best way to do that is to just keep it upside down for a little while. There we go. Then we'll move on to those front lights and the tail lights and the beautiful wheels and tires coming up shortly. So while we are letting the glue cure on those under hood parts, I figured that I would glue these wheels and tires. So because these are 3D printed resin, model glue will not work. You have to use crazy glue. So it's as simple as just getting a couple little dabs of crazy glue in here and sliding the wheel in from the back, making sure it is flush with the tire, and you're done. I have always found it's easier to slide in the 3D printed stuff from the back. It's just the way it prints for me. try to just wipe off the remaining glue really quickly. You don't need a lot. I literally just use a couple little dabs and a couple little spots. And that is usually more than enough to hold it. And I'll kind of twist the tire as I put it in, kind of spreads it around. And there is that. And these are looking great. And these are going to be an excellent look on this car. That was pure luck finding these in the parts. I think I had planned on doing a new vet, a rear engine vet, and I had gotten a kit, and I had printed parts of it, but not all of it, because it wasn't like a full kit. It was like a solid body. And I had printed the wheels and tires, and I remember the body, I didn't have a big enough 3D printer at the time, so I didn't print the body, but I printed the wheels and tires because I wanted to get started on it, and I wanted to see, I was experimenting with 3D printing at the time, and I wanted to see how well they came out, and obviously they come out very well. These are, these wheels and tires really look the part, and they were created. They were great. It was a great file, a great 3D file. I just couldn't print the body big enough at the time. So now what we have to do is we have to start thinking about how we're going to put these on. So I'm still kind of thinking about it. I'm contemplating, especially back here, because these guys have to be spaced out quite a bit. I'm thinking about a sleeve over this pin that would go over a pin that I would drill and mount into this wheel. Thinking about that. That's a lot of lining up of things. I'm also thinking about just a square of sheet styrene on the back of each wheel, and then lining it up where I want it to go and drilling a hole, and then having it. I like the idea of pinning onto this stub because that will give me a very strong bond. And the ability to move it a little bit. But I also could do the very same thing with just flat styrene, and like a mounting block to kind of like just push this out, and then I would be able to set it to body height. So that's probably what I will do there. And in fact, I think we can do that now. So let me figure out how I'm going to do it, and I will come back and do it on camera. So what I have done is I have measured out and cut a couple of pieces of styrene to the size that I want it spaced out. And I'm going to do this the quick and dirty way because, quite honestly, I want to finish this car. And I want to get this video posted. So I'm going to put some crazy glue on the back of this wheel. And then I'm going to put my little spacer on the wheel, like so. And then I'm going to go in with some of the curing solution. And get that crazy glue cured up. Cures instantly once the solution hits it. And that's that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other wheel. And the way these wheels are, I don't have them perfectly flat. So putting the crazy glue on a little thick so that it will do its gap filling trick. There we go. And hit it with the, whoop. Every so often the curing solution does that. Yep, and that's toast. Stick a fork in it, it's done. Sometimes the curing solution grabs the part. So now I'm just going to go on with a heavier glob and push the part into the glue. And now let's try to be a little more careful this time. There we go. All right. And now, for the moment of truth. That's going to work out exactly the way I wanted it. Very good. So, I'm going to put some glue on here. And then I'm going to set this wheel where I want it, which is pretty much right in there. Sticking out just a little bit too far, a little bit further than I anticipated. So I'm going to make a last minute adjustment, which is very easy to do when you have the nippers. There we go. Last minute adjustment. All right, and so that is where I want that wheel and tire. Right there. Come on, you know you want to stick. There we go. And so that one is mounted precisely where I want it. That is good. Now let's see about this one, or if this one needs another last minute adjustment. This one needs a smaller last minute adjustment, but it needs an adjustment. There we go. Okay. Now let us see. That looks good. And those rear wheels and tires are pretty much right where I wanted them. They might be a little bit high, but I can bend them in a little. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so the front ones required very little spacing. In fact, I think I like where they are. Maybe bring them out a little bit. And I have two little tiny spacers here that would be perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these into this wheel. And this wheel. Yeah, you get yourself some crazy glue and some setting solution, and you can get things done very quickly. Okay. There we go. Okay, now let's check and see. These spacers might be a little too big. No, actually, they are perfect. What do you know about that? So, now here we go. I've got some crazy glue on that axle. Okay. And now I just need a little more crazy glue on this axle. And if I was overly concerned about it, I could have pinned this and went crazy and done it super duper stronger, but I'm not overly concerned about it. This is just a personal display model for me, and I'm not overly worried about the strength of these joints. If it comes off, I'll fix it later. And in fact, that one just came off because I didn't set it before I cured it. So there we go. There. One of those things was acting up. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with where those wheels and tires are. And I am liking the way that that looks. It is far from perfect, but it looks good to me. So we're going to roll with that for now. And we'll see how it goes when I start taking some pictures of the car. And we'll come back for headlights and taillights. So I decided that during the test fitting process that the pins that were on the back of these lights were more trouble than they were worth. They set in there flat enough, and they really don't need to be located. So I am just setting them in and sliding them into place because they do not need locating. Just like that. And they look fine. And then the next thing that we need to do is figure out how we're going to do the brake lights. Now, the brake lights, I am inclined to maybe do the same thing because I don't feel that the pins are really necessary. I think that the pins are more of a pain than they are worth because you can line them up and set them in and eyeball them straight. And this will also enable me the opportunity to do the backs of the taillights with a silver pen and to have a uniform color behind them, which would be a lot better. It'll give a good result. So there's no more pins. And now I can do the silver on the back. And that'll give me a little bit of tail light reflectivity. This silver pen, I think, is just about kaput. So I'm going to grab a different one. Oh, this one's much better. There we go. And then I will give that a few minutes to cure. And then we can glue them right in. And now if you look at them from the back, they have a nice like silver like translucence to them. So it looks like a real taillight. And then I don't have to mess around with painting silver or putting foil on the body. I can just glue these in just like that, and they will look the part quite well. So we'll let those cure for a few minutes, and then we'll glue them in. Okay, continuing with the taillights now. I'm going to use these fantastic 9 Steps Industries nippers. I love these. These are my new favorite nippers. They do such a good job. Good stuff. That is smooth as can be. This one that had fallen off in the package has a little bit of blemish on there. But that just took care of that. No problem. I'll hit it with a little bit of sanding stick action. There we go. So those are ready to go. So now it's going to be as simple as gluing it down. There we go. And so now we just kind of pop these in there. I'm just going to kind of pop them all in and then line them up. Well, actually, they line themselves up rather nicely. These are great tweezers, too. I'm a big fan. Oh yeah, popping these taillights in is a piece of cake. Of course, now that I said that, there goes the taillight. Uh-oh. Where did it go? Oh, it's right here. Found it. Whew, that was close. Totally jinxed myself on that one. As soon as I said, boy, this is a piece of cake. Yep. All right, so those are looking okay. They're looking the part. I still got to do the little Corvette logo and the Corvette logo there, which I will do with a Sharpie. And just to demonstrate how that's done, let's see here. I'm going to get my black Sharpie out right here. I'm going to test it, make sure this one's good. Yeah, this one's good. And then I'm going to get my big glasses on because I really want to be able to see to do this, because this requires a very fine touch. You have to I just want to get the raised part of the letter and not make a whole bunch of mess on the car, which is very difficult to do. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you get the idea that it is, you know, essence of Corvette. And then the ZR1 badge down here in the corner. That looks pretty good to me. And then this one here. And again, just the essence of the logo. And any extra that goes on there, I can get off with a Q-tip later. Which I will. Get it with a Q-tip later. There we go. That's looking the part. Looking definitely the part. And this is going to look fantastic on the shelf. So the only thing that's left is a completed slideshow. Coming right up. And here we go with the completed slideshow on the AMT Corvette ZR1. What a fantastic build this was. I had so much fun doing it. It brought back so many memories of these kits from the 80s and the cars from the 80s and 90s. And this was the big Corvette when I was a kid. And, you know, this was the one to have, and the one that when you saw it, you went, oh, look at that. You know, wow, you don't see a lot of those. Especially the ZR1 with that big fancy motor. It was just wonderful. I do still have a few things left to do on this. I'm going to get the turn signals on and the rear lights on the sides. And I'm going to adjust the ride height just a little bit on the front. Also, during the photo session, the engine came loose in its cradle, so I'm going to fix that as well. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're into motorcycles, I'm going to include a little commercial that I filmed for a YouTube channel I recently started called Angelo's Motocycle. Besides being heavy into model cars, I am also heavy into motorcycles. I am an MSF rider coach locally. I teach motorcycling. So I have started a channel that does gear reviews, ride reviews, motorcycle reviews, as well as safety tips, technical how-tos. I'm also a motorcycle mechanic, so technical how-tos, how to do things to your bikes, and I'm always looking for ideas over there. So go on over to Angelo's Motocycle. I'd love to hear from you there, just like I love to hear from you here. And thank you for tuning in and watching. That's going to wrap up the final video in the AMT Corvette ZR1 video series. What a blast from the past that was, building this wonderful icon of the 80s and 90s. Go ahead and click that like, comment, subscribe, share. Please do all of the above. Help me out. Also, don't forget to check me out on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, all as Angelo's Workbench. I look forward to seeing you all next week.